I'm Christine White.
I'm Deneen Milner.
And I'm Monica Pearson. Welcome to A Seat at the Table,
The show where we talk about what's on our minds.
What's really on our minds.
And today that conversation has to do with body image. I'm tired of being objectified.
And hyper sexualized.
I don't know. I'm kind of happy that folks are finally understanding that there's nothing wrong with a little curvature.
That's true.
You know who handled this best? Queen B. And then it gets to your spiritual level because you don't think you're good enough because you don't look like what they say you should.
Right.
Well, Bey is beautiful in that video, but it wouldn't always have been that way. There would have been a time when she would have been too big. She would have been thought too curvy, too voluptuous.
You know, it's crazy about the beauty standards. People often go by what Hollywood's version or the music label's version of beauty standards, but I'm a strong believer in everyone holds their own definition of what beauty standards are. So let me know in the comments, what is your definition of beauty standards?
Voluptuous to even be a star. And for everyday normal women, it affects us even on a greater level. It affects the way that we get jobs. It affects the way that people see us. You know, it's the way they treat us.
I think what's really hard is when we look at our daughters, because we all have daughters. And my daughter was an athlete, so her body was not like the typical body of a girl her age. I mean, she had muscles because she was a swimmer, she was a goalkeeper. And it was hard on her when it came prom time because other people were able to wear these dresses that everybody went, ooh, and on her it was like,
Right. I know that feeling, you know, growing up in a time when people didn't appreciate what they appreciate today. And when I say appreciate, I'm talking about curves, having a big butt, wide hips, thick thighs. That wasn't something that when I grew up was considered beautiful.
But
I can't speak for all men, but let me go on record saying I've always, and I do mean always, have loved the curves.
Or desirable.
But you know what? It was desirable when you looked at a white woman. Marilyn Monroe was curvy, and her curves were appreciated, where a Lena Horne body was not necessarily appreciated.
It's a matter of degree.
Right.
Because I always talk about the waist to hip ratio.
Right.
If the waist to hip ratio is not right, you're not right in some settings. But I grew up with a half Nigerian family. I was back and forth between Africa and America, and I was able to sort of see the normalization of curvature and of beautiful, bigger bodies. And so when I came back to America, I think that maybe I had a different sense and a different self-confidence having seen that being carried.
But I grew up
in New York.
In New York in the 80s is when I started paying attention to it. And we're talking about Jordache jeans, Gloria Vanderbilt.
Right.
If you didn't have a pancake butt,
Right.
you were not getting into those clothes.
Right.
And if you couldn't get into those clothes, then you weren't considered cool, right? And so I'm walking around in Garanimals and, you know, mixing and matching my colors and looking like awkward and just wrong, but then feeling that way.
The other side of it is today where yoga pants are so cute,
right?
And all the girls are wearing yoga pants, and my child puts on some yoga pants,
right?
And without trying to shame her or without sexualizing a child's body, I don't know how to let her know, well, you need to cover up maybe, or you can't wear what everybody wears. And she doesn't get it. And I don't want to tell her, well, grown men are gonna look at your booty at 9 years old, but that's basically what the conversation comes down to.
Well, wait a minute.
I have a story to tell. I don't remember how old I was, but I remember I was walking my 13-year-old cousin to school one day. And my 13-year-old cousin at the time was extremely curvy. And a grown man, he almost broke his neck while he was driving his car. He pulled over to say, to say something to her. He wanted to holler at her. And I let him know. I said, I know you don't know this, but she is 13 years old. As soon as I said that, now, to me, I would think you would get in the car, drive off, or, yeah, dog, I apologize, I didn't know, going your merry way. He said, I don't care. Did you see that body? And I just looked at him like, are you serious? You are willing to risk jail time for curves that's underage. Are you serious? And I just looked at him And I told my little cousin, I said, babe, stand behind me. And when he seen me make a fist, that's when he walked off. I can't believe that it actually happened. I remember that because of this video.
I guess I have to jump in here. Why can't you tell her that? Because the reality is we're a very sexual society, and we have to protect our children from predators. So just like you have to explain sex to her, what's wrong with saying there are people who are predators and I am trying to protect you?
There is, and I think it's okay to say that, but you have to find a way to say it that doesn't body shame her,
Yes.
and doesn't shame her femininity and doesn't shame her sexuality. And so that's the piece where Auntie used to say, "Girl, you fast at 5 and 6 and 7 because of the way you were shaped, or because of the way you imitated grown women, making you feel like there was something wrong with being feminine." That's what I was trying to avoid. I think that there's also something about sort of the African culture where clothes are tailored, and everybody's clothes are made to fit them. And so when you come back to our sort of cookie cutter society and you're trying to find clothes for your child,
Not everybody is able to look like Kim Kardashian when they put on their clothes, right?
Right.
And
Okay, we got to stop here because you're going into the area we're going to cover next.
Yes.
We're talking about butts. We're talking about butts.
Yes,
Sir
Lord.
Mix-a-Lot did the best song about this, and he likes big butts.
I like big butts and I cannot lie.
But here's what gets me about that video. LA face with an Oakland booty. Why couldn't it
Oakland.
be an Oakland face and an Oakland booty?
Bingo, thank you. Thank you. Thank
That's
you.
true. I never thought about it that way.
Yes.
That's true. There is something to be said about a black male and the way they adore the black female shape. And I
First off, what does LA face and an Oakland booty mean? This is my very first time hearing that. Let me know in the comments.
think that that has not always been articulated in the media. Luckily, we had that song. I had that song growing up, so I knew that I was okay. Now, I was never approached by a white man, and I just assumed it was a black thing, and black guys like big butts, and that's fine. But it also sort of limited what I thought was how far my attractiveness went, right? So I had the sense that my body wasn't right for certain situations or for certain people.
Now, you covered up your butt.
Oh, yeah, until I was a good 35, 36 years old.
Why?
Oh, because the way that I grew up, again, this was not right. Everything about me from the neck down was wrong. And so I would cover up I would wear my father's jeans. Literally, I wore my father's jeans until my husband took them and threw them in the garbage.
Yay for your husband.
Wow.
Good job,
I would
bro.
cover my waist with big shirts or wear big boxy shirts. And I still, to some degree, wear big boxy shirts. But I'm a lot more comfortable now than I used to be. And I got more comfortable for my daughters.
Right.
Because my babies are shaped exactly like me.
Right.
And I didn't want them growing up thinking that there was something wrong with them, because there's nothing. It's their bodies. They're beautiful, they're curvy, they're athletic, and they can, and I don't want them showing it off, but I don't want them to be ashamed of their bodies like I was.
Then when you have that beautiful athletic body like Serena,
Right.
she is criticized and called names about being manly, and she's gorgeous.
And the
She is.
crazy thing is that when she takes a break, or she goes on vacation and maybe she skips a couple workouts and she has a beer or a donut, then the media's all over her for being fat. And really, it's about how she's shaped. The interesting thing is that there's a $21,000 to $44,000 difference in what you make based on your size. So very, very thin women, which black women are rarely,
Right.
are paid more, are paid like $21,000 more on average. And women who are average, so even women who are average are missing out on a check.
Right.
And then women who are larger than average, and by the way, average is like 115 pounds according to the
Oh, my
study, right?
goodness.
I remember having a conversation with my niece. She told me that she was fat, and I just looked at her. I said, "Where?" She said, "Uncle Mike, you gotta understand. I was a 00. Now I'm a 0." So, hold on. So you trying to tell me that you went from a 00 in clothes size, now you a 0, and that's fat? I said, hell, if that's fat, what the hell am I? She gave me a little laugh and looked the other way.
I've seen 115 since
10.
ninth grade.
But the reality is, what we have in our bodies right now, I can remember when I was skinny as a rail. Now I'm not. I love me the way I am.
Thank you. That's what I was getting ready to say. You know, when I hit 40, after having daughters really changed my perspective on the way that I look at myself, because there was no way that I could look at their faces and consider my face ugly, or look at their bodies and consider something wrong with mine, right? So if I'm looking at them and I consider them the most beautiful, you know, gifts to me, how could I possibly look at myself in the mirror and find something wrong with
But
it,
the
right?
question is, what happened with you where your mother, for whatever reason, didn't instill that in you, so that when you went out, you still had a certain
just
amount of
thinking
shame
that.
you wanted to cover up, but you had beautiful mothers and aunts,
Well, you know,
I'm sure.
I think when I think about it, and I wish my mom was here for me to ask her this, as she passed away, but I think as a black mom, a part of why she did what she did, which was to tell me to cover up or try to lose weight,
Protect you. To
she
protect
actually
you.
had me walking backwards on my butt to try and make my butt flatter. Like it was serious.
She was trying to
and
protect
she was
you.
protecting
She was
me.
protecting you.
It
Yeah.
wasn't about her criticizing or ridiculing
Right.
my body. It was her trying to protect me from men who would look at her 12-year-old daughter's body as a woman's body. I didn't know, so I was looking at it like there was something wrong.
Right.
She was looking at it as, you know what, I need to protect my kid. And
Because people might approach you.
Absolutely.
Right.
And take advantage of. We do have a phone call. Let's hear from our first caller.
I really like your show. I'm from Georgia, and but I have a problem because it seems to me what we're told all the time is that thin is healthy, and you're talking about loving big bodies. That strikes me as going against what good health is.
Well, a lot of thin women are anorexic, and that's not healthy at all.
And, you know, being thin doesn't necessarily mean you're healthy. There are people who are thin and have high blood pressure. I remember reading a story in the Times a few months ago about how a big woman was very healthy and a thin woman had all kinds of health issues. So the way that you see me and process me doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not healthy. I've been to exercise classes. I go to the gym every day and I work out every day for an hour and a half. You may not be able to see that on me. I eat a mostly vegan diet.
Right.
You may not be able to see that on me. That's the way that I am made. That's the
Right.
way that I'm built. That doesn't mean that I'm not
But the
healthy.
issue is that you can't judge, you can't tell by someone's body, and that's the issue. I mean, and particularly for women, the expectation is that we are supposed to look a particular way. And living in America with all the different colors that we are, you have to understand that women are going to be shaped all different ways, and that's why Serena is such a great example, because we know her to be one of the best athletes in the world of any ethnicity,
Right.
male or female.
Right.
Still, you know, she goes out in a swimsuit and people are appalled.
But what got me is them saying, oh, she's objectifying her body and setting women back. What? You have been objectifying Serena's body since she was 9 years old.
Right.
You've been talking about her cornrows. You've been
Right.
talking about her beads. You've been calling her, saying she looks like a horse, saying she's Manarina, talking all kinds of smack about how muscular she is. You all have been objectifying her. And she's decided that she's not going to listen to you anymore.
Right.
I'm going to go out here. I'm going to feel good in this bathing suit, because that's what people do when they go onto a beach. They wear bathing suits.
We have got to stop pulling ourselves down.
I think that we also need to make sure that we're centering this conversation on the way that we mother our children.
Yes,
particularly
I
our
agree.
girls, right? We need to be talking to them about being healthy, about being strong, about appreciating exactly what they have,
Right.
and being okay with it.
We're supposed to be the nurturers.
Right.
We're not seen as sexy in most instances.
Unless we're over sexualized. And you know, Latino women who also often have African heritage have the same sort of ethnic, mysterious sort of sexualization stereotype that goes
Yes.
along with them. J-Lo was one of the first women to make having curves very popular. But I think that it also made it popular because her skin is fairer, right? If she had
Right.
been a
Absolutely.
darker woman, there would have been this intersectionality, all of these different elements, that all of the historical implications that makes a black woman's body more negative, perceived more
Absolutely,
negative
because-
in the media.
Because from
Okay, let me know something in the comments. Also, um, when it comes to people that are curvy, whether it's from your experience or experiences of other people's that you have witnessed, what do people normally say about curvy women? And also, let me know in the comments when it comes to famous people, Hollywoods or the musicians or whatever, uh, the people that you consider to be curvy. Because some people will say curvy and other people say, oh no, that's just fat or that's just thin. So, what does curvy when it comes to an image look like to you?
In the beginning, right after Reconstruction, you saw the Hottentots and you saw
Right.
the big lip character, the big butt character, all of that.
Right.
And unfortunately, those images have continued.
Right.
And here we are, and we're still
Right.
dealing with it.
Hey, hold on to your seats. We'll be right back.
When it comes to those images, the crazy thing about it is I know a lot of people get depressed or frustrated from them. Maybe it brings down their confidence levels, and maybe those people created those images to bring down people's confidence levels. But for some strange reason, it does not affect me at all. My confidence is so high. It's through the roof. Matter of fact, it shatters every roof that people trying to put me in. Let me know in the comments. Are you anything like me? Is your confidence level is just overly high, or is it overflowing, or can those images hurt you sometimes?
Welcome back, and we are talking about hair.
Oh my goodness, I looked at those pictures and I went, oh my Lord. How much it has changed over the years. But I got to tell you a story. When I first came to Atlanta to go on the air and to be the first woman on the 6 o'clock news and the first African American on the 6 o'clock news, I had an afro. And they gently asked me if I could, this was 1975, straighten it or get a wig.
What's the big deal? Just
Well, in
straighten it.
1975, yeah, you know. And I'm like, well, there's more to it than that. So that first picture that you saw, that was actually a wig. And I just pressed out the front of my hair, put the wig on, and
wow.
went on.
Yeah.
Because if I hadn't done that, there would have been more people talking about my natural hair, this black woman on there. And I had enough black women calling me already,
Right.
saying, you need to look this way because you're the first. And then white people calling me up saying, get that in off the air. So hair for me over my 37 years just in this market has been a big issue.
Right.
But one day I woke up and I had breast cancer. And they said, you may have to go through chemo and you may have to lose your hair. So you know what I did? I'm proactive. Well, let's just cut it all off
Lord,
and
hallelujah.
we'll
Be
go
free.
with it.
Thank
Be
you.
free.
And then when the gray started coming in, I kept it because that song means so much to me. I am not my hair.
Right.
But so often, you could be denied a job because of your hair.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And I
Tell me about the negative things that happen to you because of your hair. I'll go first. And the crazy part about it is, it's only one thing that has ever happened to me negative because of my hair. I was in Job Corps. It was the year 2000, I believe. And I only was there because I was healing from eye surgery and I couldn't get a job or nothing like that or whatever. So I figured go back to Job Corps. So I'm back in Job Corps and everything, and I'm going to my schooling. I'm learning how to do contact lenses and eyeglasses, how to shape them and all of that different kind of stuff. And the teacher I had, people kept on telling me about her, but they was like, she's the big R, that she's this, and I didn't want to just automatically assume it because I don't know who the person is, but I did want to learn this skill. So I went and took the class anyway. Yeah, I really shouldn't have. I really, really shouldn't have. So I cut my hair bald. And I often do that when I don't want to worry about the maintenance and every day trying to do this or do that. So I would just say forget it and cut it bald. The first time she did that, she wrote me up. And I didn't know. I didn't know about the write up. The second time she did it, the second time she wrote me up is because I cut my hair again. And we had to go to see the head person. And the head person read it out to me, said that my bald head represents hip hop. And I was like, what the heck? Are you sick? True enough, they threw out the write up, but it's just the fact that it just kept coming over and over again because I would shave my head bald. That was mine. Let me know yours.
I've had that. I can't say that I've had that experience. You know what experience I've had in the workplace is white women liking my afro and telling me that they really liked my hair, and black women telling me that I was wrong for coming to work with a natural. And using that old adage of you have to fit in, you really should not be natural because they will judge you. And I'm like, girl, the only one judging me is you.
Right. Well, you don't know what's being said behind your back. I am always curious, particularly and with experiences that I've had, hearing back that my hair was not widely loved, right? But of course, in my face, everyone wanted to touch it, and they wanted to, ask me how I did it, and they all, there was all these issues, and I kind of grew up with the expectation that my hair would be long. I was a light-skinned girl with long hair. My mom conked my hair every 2 weeks, and so that was sort of an expectation that was set very early on. And cutting my hair off and cutting out all of the perm was the most freeing experience I've ever had. And the interesting thing, of course, I'm being facetious when I say what's the big deal, because there's so many people who think, what's the big deal? It's just hair. Why can't you just press it like everybody else? Why can't you just look like everybody else? But hair is the blessing and the curse. There's a reason why the black hair care industry is so large, because it takes up so much of our time, so much of our energy, just trying to fit in and also feel good about ourselves.
But have you noticed, it's not just the black hair care industry anymore. You have major corporations like Pantene. We all grew up thinking that was products
curly hair.
Right. Yes. Right. But the point is that now, because we are uncomfortable with our hair, and we still are, you are expected, because you are light, bright, and quote, damn near white, to have long, flowing hair.
Right.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I have failed the science when it comes to hair. By the time I hit high school, my hair was, it wasn't there. But then I learned as an adult from talking to an aunt of mine, you won't be able to get the same hairstyle as everyone else. And I'm like, well, I wish you'd have told me this years ago. I kept on trying to get other people's hairstyles and messed my head all the way up. And that's when I learned about 4C hair and 4B and 4. I'm pretty sure it's other alphabet letters. I don't know.
I think that we're a little bit more comfortable with natural hair now. I've been natural.
Not all businesses. Television, no. Television, no.
I'm proud of the millennials.
That.
I think that when I cut my hair off, I went to Spelman, and of course, you cut your hair off when you go to Spelman. I cut my hair off before I got to Spelman. I was already ready. But my daughter, who's 15, still is afraid to go to school with her hair not straight. She's afraid to try it out. I try to get her to just, over the weekend, play with it. Here's some product. Do this. Try this. Right. But by the end of the Sunday, when Monday's about to come, she is on her knees trying to figure out how she can get to a hair salon. Hair salons aren't open on Sunday.
I hate to be the sour in the apple, but certain hairdos do not work in certain industries. You cannot, in Jamaica or Nigeria, you can come on with the gele, you can come on with the braids, but you are not going to get a job in New York, San Francisco, or even in Atlanta wearing braids. Because the audience responds in such a way, and when it takes away from what is being said and reported because of your hair, then you're going to get replaced.
I'm going to need them to get comfortable with this. That's what I need.
I hate to
need
tell you,
folks to get
you
comfortable.
won't get the job. I even had people in our newsroom, men who had locks, and when they were up for a management position, they were gently told, you need to let the locks go.
So what can we do? I mean, do we just let it go, or do we just, I mean, I think that this is part of the struggle, right? This is part of
the struggle.
affirming who we are as a people, and that we have the right to define how we should look and what the standards are for professionalism. We don't have any input into that system. We haven't been able to say
We need
that.
to be in management positions.
And that only happens when you speak up. Like,
Yes.
remember what happened with the military a couple of years ago, right? There were women who were told that they couldn't put their hair in braids or wear locks, or they had to wear their hair in a very specific kind of way. And it's like, wait a minute, but this is the way my hair grows out of my head. And it wasn't until black women stood up and said, this is the way that my hair grows out of my head. And if you want me to be in the middle of the combat zone, I do not want to be thinking about how I should be putting my hair. I need to be able to put it into a braid. I need to have it in a lock so that I don't have to worry about what's going on here, so I can concentrate on what I need to be doing for my job.
And I think that if more women, more black women in particularly, were standing up for that, we would have less issues. Because there are women in management positions who could shift that.
Absolutely.
But I mean, it happens all the time where I am out with my niece who she just has a beautiful fro, and black women all day long are like, I would never let my child, I would never let my baby do that. What is wrong with y'all? Why y'all ain't pressed her hair?
Don't get me started.
What
gets my goat is when someone like Kim Kardashian wears, like braids, and it's a new trend.
Right.
This is started. Oh my God.
No.
I was wearing my hair like that when I was 5 years old. What are you talking about?
See, you all are too young. It started with Bo Derek in the movie 10.
Right.
When she comes out of the water, this gorgeous blonde, this swimsuit, and her hair is all in braids with, the little...
Right.
And that's when it was like, oh, they're beautiful.
But she wouldn't wear it to work. She would, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's cute on an actress when she's coming out the water. But the point is that it didn't change anything for working women, for women who have bills to pay, or, because our hair requires maintenance. It requires a different level of moisture. There are all of these different things that we have to think about. And when we're thinking about being expedient and how we can get the job done, like you said, the military women, we have to be able to manage our hair in a way that's easy. That's not the reasoning. That's not why.
So that's why we now have
braids.
People are sewing it in. The whole industry for weaves is a big one now.
Yeah.
So do you grow it, sew it?
But I'm finding,
How do you feel about weaves? How do you feel about weaves?
Tell us how you feel.
I don't have a problem with weaves. I wore a weave once, maybe 10 years ago.
I wear weaves all the time. I wear it all the time. And I'm going to tell you, because back to this whole issue, I feel like I'm hurting my hair, like trying to manipulate it all the time. I had a hairdresser who said, I don't know if black hair is supposed to be brushed. Like, I don't know if it's naturally supposed to be combed. She has dreadlocks, right? So she twists her hair, she manipulates it in other ways. But when I see myself trying to press my hair or trying to comb it out, and there's hair all over the floor, and it's dry and it's brittle, like, there has to be a better way, right? So this whole idea of protective styles, the braids and the weaves and the wigs.
Is this weave today?
It's a little bit of both.
It's a little bit of both. Okay. And your locks, and I'm just here. But the point is, people seeing us will say, it's okay. Deneen looks great in locks. I can do that. She's still professional. I can do that. You're not a Rastafarian, mama.
Right, exactly.
But it's still the responsibility of everyone who's sitting at the table, anyone who has any influence, to represent for people being authentic and themselves. We have to change the definition of what is acceptable, and that's everybody's responsibility.
Question.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Should black women be offended when others ask to touch their hair?
Don't
or should they embrace it and allow the touching?
No.
You want to draw back a no?
No.
Trying to touch my hair without my permission. I am not.
Should they embrace it?
I am not a pet.
They should do whatever they feel is appropriate. I mean, I remember having an experience at camp, as it usually happens, when my white girlfriend clearly wanted to touch my hair. She needed to know that my hair was different than her hair. Like, all of this is a part of an education. Now, you need to be okay with if I say no.
Yes.
Right.
But if I don't think that it's really awful to ask. Now, the problem comes is when people just sort of
come up and put
just
their
come
hands
and
on
reach.
your
Right,
chest.
right.
And then go, oh, that's so soft. It's like, what did you expect, barbed wire?
Listen, Solange said it right. Don't touch my hair. I'm telling you, it will be a situation.
Okay,
if
I
you
gotta
touch my
ask,
hair.
can your husband touch your hair?
Oh yeah, that's my
But
man.
you know how many, but do you know how many black women, when they get their hair done, they will tell their husband or boyfriend, don't touch my hair.
Oh, what you know about sleeping cute? Like, I just got my hair done.
Oh, this has been great. Well, you know, we could keep talking, but we're out of time.
Okay. You know, I only have one more thing to say. I've never understood the fascination of people wanting to touch black women's hair or black women's protective styles. But I do remember one day, I was wondering, I said, black women have protective styles. I wonder if European women have protective styles. I Googled it. Come to find out, they do. But I wonder, do they know they do? And judging by the hairstyles that I saw, I'm going to assume they don't, because I've never seen, well, I've seen those styles before. I've seen them in movies and TV shows, but I've never seen them right now today. Let me know in the comments if you know of any protective styles that European women have, or are you interested in intertwining? Do you feel that it should be acceptable for European people to touch black women's heads and vice versa? Be sure to like, share, watch more videos, and subscribe to the channel.